what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here in one of my favorite filming spot locations because guess what? We have that all new 3-row SUV from an iconic Japanese brand, and it's this vehicle right here. What the heck is this? This is the totally new 2024 Mazda CX-90. This one is your top turbo S trim. But before we get into this new shape, new style of luxury, and of course that driving engagement, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here. Mazda. Would you believe the company's been around since the late 1920s? When they first started, they were a manufacturer not of automobiles, they were actually a producer of cork. Yes, cork, the type of things that you find in the tip of a wine bottle or maybe up on a bulletin board where you're taking those thumbtacks and hanging little notes and reminders and funny little jokes. But guess what? In 1933, Mazda came out with their first vehicle. It was actually a 3-wheeled pickup truck called the Mazda Go. And from there on out, it was all about zoom zoom automobiles. Now, of course, when I think about Mazda, especially growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was all about rotary powered and taking that Wankel engine and really making it a prime jewel in their lineup. But things have changed. Emissions, electrification, and everything else. So that's where Mazda has really focused on producing SUVs. And they have a pretty strong lineup now, especially with their top-selling CX-5. But what I want to find out is, if you're looking for a mid-sized 3-row SUV, there's some tough competition out there, and some of them are really up in the ante. Is the Mazda CX-90 a better 3-row SUV to buy over the long-standing Honda Pilot or that top seller, the Kia Telluride? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this pearlescent white CX-90 and find out. Right off the bat, the proportions and the style. I'm really digging what Mazda has done with the overall package on the exterior. Now at the front of the business, this should be nothing as a surprise to you. They did a great job on not only the headlight housing size and shape, but all of that great LED light technology. Daytime running lamp, you got adaptive headlights, and then look at the way they did the turn signal, how it actually curves into the grille a little bit. It's the little details that I think you're gonna find on this vehicle that really make it stand out. On the lower corner area, you do have these large corner air curtains that are functional. The one thing I would have liked to have seen is instead of this fake blocked off vent area, I would have liked to have seen maybe the daytime running lamp brought down into here. Obviously a little too slim and trim to put any type of LED fog lamp, but I think some lighting or making it functional would have just really made this absolutely perfect. I'm not gonna zonk it though. Maybe I'll just give it a half a zonk because it isn't functional. But from an aesthetic standpoint, it looks spectacular. Now, as we coast in front of the Mazda grille, it's got that familiar shape. You can see that LED lighting, how it works nicely as it kind of falls into the grille. All of the vertical, intricate gloss black pieces. You got your Mazda logo and a forward-facing camera. Working our way down, nice, large, lower grille area, fully functional, and I like the way they extended out the lip just a little bit, and just a little sprinkling of chrome. I'm not a big chrome guy, and I'm hoping that they come out with a carbon edition of this CX-90 to make this dark chrome or blacked out chrome, but it's just enough to really give it that high-end luxury feel. And when you look at the overall style of this vehicle, I feel like this is the direction BMW should have went in. BMW has gone in this direction now that's gotten really freaky with their shapes and their designs and the amount of gloss black that they're using. I feel like this is where Mazda is taking that spot and really separates it from the front end of the Honda Pilot or even the Telluride. Now, as we rise up, you got that long hood because guess what we got? Straight 6 turbocharged power, inline 6. This is a rear-wheel drive based platform with all-wheel drive, and I love the way that it's got just nice, clean lines. And like I said, that pearlescent white paint really shows off the lines very well. As we come around the bend, of course, we're gonna have some unique wheels and tires. And wham bam, thank you ma'am, what do we got going on here? 21-inch wheel, the largest wheel ever on a Mazda production vehicle. Machined aluminum, satin black, multi-spoke design all the way around. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this tire? 275 on the width, 45 series sidewall. And then of course they retuned all the suspension, this new platform that it's on. The best news is that if you don't like just a straight up internal combustion engine, you could also get this model as a plug-in electric hybrid. But definitely, I can't wait to go on throttle and go zoom zoom with that straight six. One of my favorite parts is on this top trim, they painted everything around the fender opening, that nice pearlescent white paint. Let me know how you feel about the wheels. I think it's a nice balance between the machined aluminum and the satin black. That's all we need. Now, as we go down the side, you do have this side badge that says inline six. The one thing I wish they would have done is something different here. I am gonna zonk this part with the fake side vent. Maybe just cut all that out and just have that almost butter knife looking chrome trim with the inline six badge if you want to brag that you got an inline six. But really that nice curve to the fender. We do have color match mirror caps, turn signal slim and trim, and we do have 360-degree cameras. You have nice bright shiny metalwork only along the top of the windows and up top for the roof rails. And then one thing I think that I really like that I feel that Mazda really hit the nail on the head is that little bit of chrome trim along the bottom, and look at how it has the Mazda name. Steven's gonna zoom in and show you that Mazda name stamped into the trim. It's just tasteful, really subtle, nothing in your face. Now, as we swing around back, love the way they did the rear D pillar here. Remember, it's A, B, C, D. If you know your alphabet, that's that rear pillar, nice curve to it. We come around the back, it's almost a home run. Almost. This right here has got to go. So they should have taken the roof spoiler, extended out just a little bit more, and then tucked the rear wiper underneath. So I am going to zonk the rear wiper. That would have cleaned up the whole rear end just perfectly. But they did a great job on the taillights. You can see some of that BMW influence there. And like I said, it's like they took BMW styling and they did it better than BMW. What kind of a crazy world are we living in right now? You have your Sky Active G. The E stands for, this does have, it's a mild hybrid. So it does have a generator sandwiched in between the transmission and the engine to give you a little bit more oomph offline. And then as we go down, we hit the elevator button, we go down to the ground level. I wish, why didn't they give us some type of exposed exhaust? Now the good news is there's no fake exhaust, but some exposed exhaust on both sides would have balanced it out. Let me know how you feel about that with a little bit of the silver chrome. And then of course we have our CX-90 all-wheel drive badging, very clean. Just give me some exhaust, just some exposed exhaust. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what's powering the CX-90. All right guys, we got the hood popped. You do have hood struts to hold open the hood. Underneath the hood, you are gonna see probably one of the largest engine covers I've ever seen. The thing is that when you go up that higher food chain into the luxury side of crossover SUVs, I feel like this is a norm, and that's why Mazda did it. I personally wouldn't have gone so large of an engine cover, but underneath that sea of plastic, I promise you, is a straight six, an inline six turbocharged engine. So we're looking at a 3.3 liter turbocharged straight six, 340 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, so no 6-speed, and definitely no CVT. 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds flat. Top speed is governed to 130 miles per hour. MPGs, 23 in the city, 28 on the highway. Now, if you're comparing this to the Telluride or the Honda Pilot, both of them struggle to barely get to 300 horsepower. So you have two naturally aspirated V6s, one a 3.5 liter, one a 3.8 liter in the Telluride. Neither of them hit the 300 mark. They get very close. This though, 340 horsepower and an 8-speed automatic transmission. So you think about what that's gonna feel like when you drive it. I'm gonna show you what it's gonna feel like when we drive it. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and see it go. All right, guys, we are inside this all-new 2023 Mazda CX-90, that top preferred Turbo S trim. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I'm glad you're reviewing these mid-size three-row SUVs because I'm about to pull the trigger on one. I just found out that I have 3 extra kids that I didn't know about, and no longer is my CX-5 enough space. But I was thinking about switching brands, going to Honda or maybe even Kia, but how much is this one? Now, before I tell you the price, and that's a very good question, and I'm happy that you were able to find those 3 kids that you didn't even know about, here is something I want to preface with. My dad had an old saying when I was growing up: if you want to play, you're gonna pay. And if you want to play in this CX-90, you're gonna have to pay. MSRP for the way that this one is spec'd, remember, top trim with those 21-inch wheels, $61,920. That's quite a bit more than the highest trim on the Honda Pilot, which is the Elite, and of course, the Kia Telluride SX Prestige. But is it possible that you actually get more even though you're spending more money? Why don't we go ahead and find out. To the door panels. Absolutely love the panel perfection. Soft touch material up top. You got that nice dark wood, no gloss. I'm digging the gunmetal gray. And then check out the tan. That two-tone style with the Alcantara, the tan stitching on the armrest, no gloss black, and a good sized door pocket, large enough, I would say, for 2 Chipotle burritos. And if you know what, if you're spending the 61 grand on this CX-90, you could pay the extra for the guac, because guac costs extra, but 2 Chipotle burritos with guac and a nice bottle of Pepsi Clear to wash it down. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, we got the Bose sound system, soft material. Look at that Alcantara, so nice. The way they work the gray along that bottom section, even the stitching. This is where, like I said, compare this to a Honda Pilot Elite or even the SX Prestige. I think you're gonna be quite impressed with what they're bringing. Slide on in, we got that all new 12.3-inch infotainment system. The bad news, the zonk, is that you could touch it, but it doesn't do anything. If you're using Apple CarPlay, then it does become a touchscreen. So I know a lot of people use Apple CarPlay, then this is a touchscreen, but in its standard stock form, you gotta use the direct drive control knob. Let me know how you feel about that, if you think it's that big of a deal. To me, I kinda like the way it's not, because when you start touching these screens, it looks like you ate a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken and smeared your greasy paws all over it. So without touching it, you don't have grease and grossness all over the screen. Now, working your way down that Alcantara, you got your start stop button nicely placed. Look at the dual climate. Great switch gear in here. Love the digital readouts. We have, of course, 3 stages of heated seats, 3 stages of ventilated seats. You can control the rear AC right from this spot. And we also have a heated steering wheel, of course. Working our way down, you have your wireless charging. We do have a 12 volt. Close that up. We have our MI drive controller, 3 different modes. I'll show you that on the business side of things. You do have that nice style wood finish. Open this up, your 2 cup holders. There is our Mazda key fob. Flip it around. There's your switch gear right there. Close it up. This is gonna control your 8-speed automatic transmission. We got hill descent control. And also, I want Steven to go back to the infotainment system screen so I can show off the cameras. Check this out. Forward-facing camera, 360 camera. Look at how clear the resolution is. Absolutely beautiful. And then you can make it go away. So thank you, Steven, for letting me show off that great technology. This is your direct drive control knob. You got an actual volume knob. Once you get used to this, it's really not a big deal. Look at this, though. The soft leather material, the stitching. Open it up. Bombs away style. Not very deep of a center console. And if you want me to give you an idea of how deep it is, maybe one Game Boy high. So if you take your Game Boy and you drop it in there, that's about as much height as you have. So if you have that Tom Brady football that you want to keep in your center console because you don't want to drive with your balls, in your hand, you're gonna have to keep your ball in your hand. Just saying. 2 USB-Cs though, which is nice. And then the seats, leather perfection. Love the stitching, the piping. Look at the way they did the trim in the center. Nice Alcantara, multi-adjustable electric seats for the driver and the passenger. And of course, we have that ginormous panoramic sunroof. I know a lot of people want me to open up the shade all the way, but I'm not here for that. We got to keep this show on the road. Speaking of the road, where the heck are you going to be driving? Over here. Come on over to the business end. I want to show you the new digital dash in the CX-90. All right, guys, business time. Behind the wheel, you do have 2 memory seat settings. There's your power seat controls, easy to get to within fingertip touch, fingertip reach. I'm 6 feet tall. I love this front cockpit area of the CX-90. Plenty of space, well organized, and then look at what you get to wrap your hands around all day long. This beautiful 2-piece leather, 2 different color leather steering wheel. They did a great job on the horn button, flat black on all the switch gear, a little bit of silver trim. You do have a power tilting and telescoping steering wheel, and then there's that new digital gauge display I showed you. Everything laid out so smart, and then you have your 3 different modes: off-road, normal. Here, let me pause for a second so you can see how the colors change, the gauges change. Nice that they brought that technology in. You got normal, but who the hell wants to be normal? You know me, sport. And there's that CX-90 looking good from the front with the red gauges. On top of that, we also have a head-up display. So nice the way they have you covered. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the mid-row and see, is this the 3-row SUV you need to buy for your passengers? Let's get back there. All right, guys, mid-row time, and I'm telling you, your passengers are gonna feel like captains. No, not because you're gonna give them a cute little white hat and a boat to operate. They're sitting in captain's chairs, and I really love the way it doesn't have those stupid armrests that are like the size of toothpicks. You get a nice center console area, very soft leather, but let's talk about what else is back here. Leather all the way around, nice large pockets, easily put 2 Taco Bell chalupas in there, maybe 3 if you're lucky. Back command center. Now this is where they're gonna feel like the captain of a ship because you got everything here. You got your rear AC vents, USB-C. You got your standard AC controls with the same digital readout as up front, and then check it, 1, 2. 3 stages of ventilated seats and 3 stages of heated seats in the mid-row. Thank you, Mazda, for doing that. Plenty of room back here. This freaking LED light is like, I feel like I'm being interrogated right now by the FBI. It's so bright on my face. But the good news is you got the manual sliding security shades, keep the peepers and creepers out. I also like the way the doors open up about 90 degrees. And the opening is very large to get in and out of. Seats, yep, they slide. And then, of course, they recline. Very comfortable. You got your little command center here, 2 cup holders. Anything up front, look at this. Voila! You got the secret compartment. This is where you could keep all of your pogs and all those different things. Maybe your special die that you would use when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. You could keep those in there and they're not going to get all scratched. And then this also opens, and the good news is it's actually deeper than the main center console compartment. You could probably fit, I would say, not a NFL regulation pigskin football, but you could put a Nerf football in here. And it's nice because if your little younger brother or sister is crying and complaining, just peg them in the head with the Nerf football, but make sure nobody else is watching. And it's one of those things like, if you don't get caught, did you really do it? But everything feels really good back here. Let's get into the 3rd row and see who the heck is gonna be risky enough to sit back there. Let's go ahead and find out. All right, guys, backseat time. And you know, one of the most important things that I've ever learned is that when you're in a relationship, there is a word that starts with a C that's very important. It's called compromise. When you're looking at one of these 3-row SUVs, To be happy, you're gonna have to make a compromise. And you're gonna have to compromise on one of many different things. One of the things that you're compromising with the CX-90 is the back seat. Out of the three, it's the tightest. But with that being said, I do like the way the seat kind of has a nice angle towards the back, because that allows my head to be free from the headliner. I do love the way they got USB-Cs, 2 cup holders, and nice material on the seats, and the seats look exactly the same all the way through with the black in the center, but it's tight back here. I mean, you could see how far back the center console, even though the mid-row people get this great center console, it's really far back, and I had to move the seat up to really get some space in between my legs here. Theoretically, if somebody is as large as I am in the mid-row, the seat's gonna come back and it's gonna be much closer to my knees. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in that cargo area and see how it stacks up against the Honda Pilot and the Kia Telluride. Let's get back there. Time to get in that cargo area. Real simple. You're just going to hit the button right underneath the Mazda badge. You got your electric assist, and you're going to be greeted to a decent amount of space. I left the third row up. What you're looking at is 14 cubic feet of space. There are some nice touches back here. You have a little bit of a nook for a Yeti can, so maybe you got that hot cocoa that you like to have as you're getting the camping gear out, or the stroller at the store, the mall. You could keep that Yeti can of hot cocoa. And then on the driver's side, passenger side, we have our home power source, and we got a 12 volt, which is really great. Now, if you need more room, they got you covered. So we're starting off with around 15 cubic feet of space. But if you need more, you could get more. And I like the way it's so simple. You're just going to take the tether, pull, and push. Take the tether, pull, push. We now just turn 15 cubic feet of space into 40 cubic feet of space. I'm gonna have Steven show you those USB-Cs I was telling you about. Very nice to have USB-Cs on both sides for the third row passengers. And of course, if you put that mid row down, now you're looking at around 75 cubic feet of space. But like I said, it does fall short compared to the Pilot and the Telluride. And that's one of those things. It's always a compromise in life. Do you want a big, huge, ginormous vehicle? Or do you want something that maybe is a little sleeker, that's gonna handle better, but you're losing some of the space? Some of the things to think about. One final thing, I'm gonna have Steven come back in. I probably threw him off his game just a little bit, is we do have a storage area for Twinkies. So you could easily fit 36 Twinkies, no problem. And then check this out. You could put maybe some Three Musketeers, and of course Snickers, because you don't want anybody to get hangry while you're on a family road trip in the CX-90. But you know what? I'm not going on a road trip, but I definitely want to go on throttle. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go zoom in the CX-90. All right, guys, we are in this 2024 Mazda CX-90. We're gonna come to a complete stop. Nobody's behind us. I have it in sport mode. If you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle, here we go. Nice smooth shifts from that 8-speed automatic. And I really think that they did a good job with the synthetic sound. Even though I'm not the largest fan of synthetic sounds being pumped in through the speakers and all that, they did a great job with making it the most real, especially compared to some of the competition. Having that mild hybrid setup with the generator does allow you to kind of negate any turbo boost lag from the straight six 3.3 liter turbocharged engine. And like I said, and like you heard, the 8-speed automatic shifts very, very smoothly. Now, when it comes to the 3 modes, of course, with sport mode, that's going to adjust the steering sensitivity, throttle sensitivity, and how that transmission and engine behaves with one another. But one of the things that's going to blow your freaking mind is just everywhere you feel and touch in here is just high end. They really have done a great job with elevating the level of materials and the fit and finish. Now, if you are using Apple CarPlay, just know it's a little bit further reach to get to the infotainment system. Technically, you should just be using the direct drive control knob. And like I said, it's real simple. You hit the home button. That's where you can scroll through your different offerings and make your adjustments by just pushing down on the drive control knob, and then you can get right back to home. Very simple. It's not really that big of a deal. I think people make a bigger deal about it than what it really is. Having all of the physical buttons and switches for your AC controls is a very, very nice thing that's really starting to disappear in the lineup. But here we go, on throttle. That all-wheel drive gets the power to the ground, and I'm telling you, very, very solid in here. They've increased, of course, the structural adhesives. They made the chassis more rigid in a very good way, and really have done a great job with the acoustic glass and the thickness of the side glass. And one thing that many of the other brands cannot do is really get that great steering feel. I think second, a very close second to Mazda's handling and feel has got to be Honda with the Pilot. But other than that, the other brands, it's really hit or miss. Digital gauge cluster, very clear, very easy to read. You do have paddles on the back of the steering wheel to go up and down the 8-speed automatic transmission if you prefer. All right, guys, pulling away from this light, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna use the paddles here right behind the steering wheel. You do get a gear indicator inside the tachometer, but we're gonna go up and down the gears here as we see how this CX-90 handles. Third gear, second gear. Are you ready? On throttle, here we go, second gear. On the brakes. See how this thing handles, look at this. There we go. Love the sound of that turbocharged straight six. Watch out, birdies. On the brakes. Holds a line very, very nicely. Look at this. I'm not even moving the steering wheel. That's how good the feedback is through the wheel to the front wheels, to the steering wheel, and to your hands. It allows you to feel comfortable, confident, and I'm not saying that, hey, you're gonna go to a racetrack in this thing, but it's really nice to feel good when you're driving around town. It's gonna make you feel safe and everything, so that's the good news. All right, guys, nobody's behind us. I wanna use the paddles. I shut the traction control off. We're gonna go on throttle from a dead stop. On throttle, here we go. Love the sound of that engine. On the brakes, look at this. Very, very smooth. Squeaking tire is a happy tire, that's for sure. But you get like no body roll on this thing. That's what's phenomenal. I mean, look at this. You pitch it into the turn and it just holds a line so well. And you have gobs and gobs of torque. Something that the other two vehicles just cannot replicate. You just can't do it like you can in this Mazda. Talk about zoom zoom. I mean, that's why I think it's crazy they got rid of zoom zoom from their marketing campaign, because this vehicle brings the zoom zoom in a very, very big way. All right, guys, I want to get us out on to the highway to see how this CX-90 not only handles but also rides down the road. It's just really awesome to have that rear-wheel drive based platform and have the security of the all-wheel drive to keep everything nice and planted and really just help with the overall handling characteristics. But you're gonna have no challenges whatsoever getting out onto the highway. Plenty of power to merge. And then because of that straight six, that nice balanced format is just very smooth. You're not getting any kind of vibration in here. It just really, really rides nicely down the road. They did a great job in the suspension, not making it too soft like a marshmallow, but also not making it too hard like an everlasting gobstopper. but visibility is actually quite good in here. And even though you don't have some of the fancy tech, like in the Telluride, like the corner cameras and stuff like that, I think still you're gonna be very, very pleasantly pleased with the amount of technology, the safety technology, and just how nice it is to drive this vehicle. It's one of those vehicles that it looks good on the outside, but it's just as nice to drive on the inside. Right, guys, getting on the highway on throttle, 8-speed drops down and we're off. Really, really nice job pairing the 8-speed with that 3.3 liter inline 6 turbocharged engine. And of course, in Florida, we have some of the best drivers ever. Always like capturing that for you. Like I say, there's never a dull moment on Rady's Rides. But hopefully this has been a good overall review for you on this CX-90. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been a sunny kind of day out here in Florida, working the CX-90. We're gonna thank the whole Mazda USA team for getting us access to their all new 3-row SUV midsize with that turbocharged straight 6 power. Let me know what you think. Has Mazda created that perfect special sauce recipe with this CX-90, or are you gonna go with the tried and true Honda Pilot, has been around for many years, or like I said, that vehicle that Kia calls the Telluride, we know it as the Kia Telluride. Let me know which way you're gonna spend your money in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Rady's Rides family. Of course, we need to give it up to Stephen Flood Photography. He still believes in that zoom philosophy. That's how he lives his life each day. One zoom moment at a time. Show him some love in the comment section. Thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.